Hi and welcome to BCH on a Monday night. Okay, just to start things off, yep, I've had a couple of points and definitely thought it was a great idea to do a live stream, although this is actually recorded. Right, so what I wanted to do was actually look at some of the blog entries and just do a bit of an update on those. But first, just want to talk about Caulkhead Comics. Obviously, we've been featuring them a lot recently. I missed the actual launch of their new titles back in October. I sort of went down with COVID. It took about 4 weeks to shift that. Then I had a couple of weeks where I actually had no energy whatsoever. I just couldn't be bothered, to be perfectly honest, to actually do anything. So I was a little bit disappointed, obviously, to have missed the launch. I was actually doing another project at the same time, which obviously I've mentioned on the page, and basically I've done virtually nothing on that. I'd been on location, done some filming, but realised I needed some more footage, and that that didn't happen because literally within a day I'd gone down with it. The only other thing I did was actually did build a prop, and I think it created more work than it was worth doing it. But at least it's done, and yeah, looking back, I could have sort of cut a few corners with that, but I'm glad I've done it. The finished article looks good, and more on that a bit later. I don't want to say too much about it because it will be more relevant back in the new year. Right, so moving swiftly on, I'm going to look at the recent releases of Caulkhead Comics. This is just basically a cover reveals. There will be an opportunity to win these, but at the moment, one issue I've mislaid. I definitely have got copies of it. I'm going to show you what I've got, and like I say, just bear in mind that there is an additional comic which is not featured in this video. So I'm going to take the BCH logo out of the way, which took me a while to sort out. There we go. First up, we've got Dawn of Indigo. Now, this is by Grant Mace, and this is actually quite an impressive looking book. It is manga-esque. I haven't actually done a review of this yet because I haven't actually read it. I am intending to do so. It's just I've been caught up with a few things. I am looking forward to reviewing that, so you will see that on BCH shortly. Let's move that one out of the way. Next one we've got is Tin. Now, this is the original cover to Tin. There's actually two additional covers which I'll show in a mo. This sort of came out of left field, really. I had spoken to Rob of Caulkhead Comics. He sort of talked around the project. When I talked to Rob, obviously I do say to him that I'm not going to repeat anything he says to me unless I have his permission. But so there's a few exclusives that I haven't been able to pass on. But it's nice to actually see this finally arrive. Now, you can probably guess, if you haven't seen the review, what this is referring to. I actually really enjoyed it. I don't think the idea is original as such, but I think the way they've done that is pretty good, and I think the art by Clive Burrows actually fits the title. Yeah, so that was a surprising hit for us. I'm going to put down one of the variant covers. Not really sure about. I guess this is mimicking the curtains of a cinema showing of what Tin is indirectly based from. Yeah, I mean it's okay, but it's sort of not really, I think, selling the story. However, the next one by by Dan Digby was a Halloween 2024 variant cover, which I was again too ill to actually attend. I quite like that. I just quite like the silhouette aspect of it. Yeah, I think this is great. All right, next one. Let's move these out of the way. Next one on the line is, I'm not going to be able to say this. It's The Adventures of Weed Whacker Woman. I have problems with W's, believe it or not. This shares the artist with Clive Burrows, and certainly it, I think, is a personal project for him. I don't want to say too much about it, but if you've seen the review, we actually had fun with it. I would suggest it's probably aimed more at a younger reader, but don't let that put you off. And the final title we've got is it's by Dan Digby, but this goes back a couple of years, I believe. And basically, it's the first team up between Noble Comics of the US and Caulkhead Comics. The first issue is okay. Joseph Gale, the fourth scripts rattles along okay. I think it challenges Dan because a lot of the first part of the book is basically American high school a narrative. It comes across, we said that it comes across more like a YA sort of story. I mean, it's not bad because of that. I do think that depending on what your age is, and I must admit I'm an older gentleman, your attitudes about the behaviour of the kids and how they talk is probably going to be how you relate to them is going to be really to do with your age. I'm sure younger readers would not bat an eyelid, but it is what it is. So Dan makes it. He keeps it visually interesting. When you've got like a lot of narrative and there's not a lot of action going, I think Dan did really well. And this, just to bear in mind, this is Dan's earlier work, so this predates Hardcore Hair. The top cover, I believe, is just going by date, I think is the new Caulkhead Comics cover for the team up between Noble and Caulkhead, and I believe this is the Noble original. I don't think it was a bad read. I enjoyed 10 more, but you need to bear in mind also this is what Dan did, like I said before, Hardcore Hair. I'm not quite sure the timeline with this, but I think this goes back 2 or 3 years. What I found interesting with the team up with Noble is it actually allowed Hardcore Hair to actually be released in the US market via Noble. And part of that is obviously Artemis, which was done actually for Noble, has a Caulkhead Comics edition. So I'm going to pause now and do the next section. So just bear with me. Let's get the comics out of the way. One thing that I personally like, I like the facsimiles that are being produced. One thing that I find a little bit annoying about it is that the comic companies seem to think that if they've done issue 1 of a facsimile of a well-known title, that they're going to do 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'm just not interested. I'd rather see some random issues, and this one didn't mean anything to me. I actually had to read the cover, to be honest, to get the full benefit from it. This is Military Comics number 1, and it includes the new comic sensation, Black Hawk. No! 2 books in 1. So I'm not quite sure what the 2 books in 1. This is actually quite a thick comic. I've not even looked at this. Look at that. I'm just loving the old retro adverts with this as well. This facsimile was July 2024. This was published. I've not seen this before. It's on sort of like a thicker newsprint, so it's got a more genuine feel, I think, in the reproduction. I don't know how it's showing on camera, but all right, Loops and Banks. Never heard of them. Of the Red Dragon Squadron. Okay. It's going to be interesting to go through this. I mean, it is a product of its time. The Blue Tracer. Again, completely lost on me. Archie Atkins, Desert Scout. Oops, trying to turn the pages. Shot and Shell. Oops. Again, means absolutely nothing to me. Maybe you do know these strips. Yankee Eagle. Death Patrol. Not sure when this actually came out. Sabotage. Oh, Miss America. I've heard of her. Don't think I've ever read anything with her in. Q-Boat. Captain Foghorn. Feels like the sort of character that should be selling fish fingers. And there you go. And back cover, train your feet for active sports. I'm going to see if I can find the date of this, when this was originally issued. Unfortunately, it's something I'm going to have to look up online, so I can't tell you when that was originally done. Right, Absolute Batman, Noir edition. I'll hold my hand up. I didn't think much of this. I certainly hated the colour on it. And I certainly didn't like the design of Batman. Here, I mean, to me, he's just wearing a straitjacket. That's what the wings are. And of course, the Bat logo is just garbage. So this version is just in black and white. So I'm going to give it another go, just see whether that works better for me. And I think it probably does. So we'll have a quick look through it. Even the advert here on the left is in black and white. I'm actually liking the artwork a lot better in black and white. I'd certainly give that a go. I would be tempted to do a bit more issues if they do them black and white. I can't say for the quality of the script, to be honest. If you've liked this, or you've read this and you enjoyed it, or if you read it and you didn't like it, how about commenting below? Oh, okay. That effort's in colour. Yeah, I think they should have done that inside back cover in colour. Right, I'll put you on pause and then look at the next one. The next one is 2000 AD Ultimate Collection. I just picked this up at random. I don't particularly collect the series. I gave up on graphic novel collections a while back, as Bod has as well. It's I think it's volume 135, and it's issue 128, and it's Samantha Slade, Robot Hunter. So let's have a quick look at that. I don't actually know this character. I can't tell you anything about it. I remember Sam Slade, obviously, but not Samantha. Ian Gibson art, and it tells us that it's from 2000 AD, 2004. Actually, I'm not sure if it's saying it's Progs 2004, plus issues that predate it. I'm not quite sure when this was done. It's actually looking pretty good. I'll work through that. I like Ian Gibson's art anyway, so that's a win for me. And he wrote this. I'm pretty sure I saw a certain person's name in there. Alan Grant. Yeah, there we go. I knew I saw it. I was sort of doubting myself. Let's get through this a bit. If you can find this, it's $9.99. I guess you can get this from Hatchet's website. Yeah, that's looking good. Yep. All right. Last but not least is Treasury of British Comics Annual from 2025. I'm pleased to actually be able to get a copy of this, physical copy. You can get this from your local comic book shop. Took a no, I'm not going to make any comments about the history of me being able to pick this up. You can get it from the 2000 AD store, and there is actually a web store exclusive cover, and that's the same with the 2000 AD Annual 2025, which I must admit I've not got at the moment. I've got it digitally. I don't have a physical copy, and there is actually a retro web store exclusive cover. It actually looks like a 2000 AD Annual of the day. Let's have a quick look. I think there's 3 new stories in this. What have we got here? It does tell you strips have been sourced from. Robot Archie versus the Sludge is new. Kelly's Eye versus White Eyes is new. And Black Birth Vultures of Azazor is new. And the rest are sourced from Battle Annual, Scream, Dandare, Wham, Valiant, 2000 AD presents Action, Tiger, Valiant, Lion, and Buster Book or Spooky Stories. And it covers Major Easy, Rabbit Archie, Striker, Kelly's Eye, Adam Eternal, Black Biff. Some I don't actually recognise at all, but you can find that out for yourself. Nice to see Rabbit Archie back. Obviously, haven't gone for the solid-looking robot as he was. There's more of a fluid feel about him. I haven't actually read this, to be honest, so I can't give you any other insight on it. Major Easy. This one's called The New Neighbours. 3000 AD, the Troller. Oh, some of these I've got no idea on. Striker, football story. Fortunately, the angle I got the camera at is on the top of it off. What a Striker. Heading back to colour, and it's Dr. Sin. Kelly's Eye. Gorilla Island. There's a few of those. Adam Eterno. Flame of the Forest. Black Biff, A Night from Nowhere. And house out there for some 2027 releases. What am I talking about? 2025 releases. Okay. The only thing I'd say about the Treasure of British Comics, it's quite a nice book. I'm just a bit twitchy about the £25 price tag. I mean, it is hardback, but given Deborah H. Smith sees annuals as disposable, and you can pick them up in a 2 for $12, and the list prices could be anything from $9.99 to I can't remember what the DC Thompson classics are now, but 25 seems awfully expensive. And if you wanted to do the variant cover, I think it's an extra £5 from the 2000 AD store. So I don't know. I think you'll love the material. Will probably make the decision whether you're going to buy that or not. But anyways, let's move on. Right, I'm going to revisit one of the BCH blogs. I'm not going to do any more after this. Basically, this was being in a pub, having a pint and a packet of crisps, as you can see, and then reading a digital comic. And basically, it's the benefit of digital over physical. I know people love physical media. I do as well. But I think you get to the point where you just can't acquire more stuff because it just takes up room. And I like the idea that I can have my collection with me all the time. So that's a benefit. And I think the other thing is the embarrassment factor of it. I do wonder whether, if people knew what I was reading, whether they might think, well, how old are you? You're still reading comics? I think certainly my generation, and I guess James and Bod might say the same. I certainly was at a point where I felt the comics were growing up with me. So I was reading the Marvel UK reprints, which started off with the early Lee and Kirby material, which I quite liked, but I felt by the time, as I was getting older, the material that was being reprinted, which was being reprinted on a weekly basis, basically, we were starting to catch up with the American comics, which I was also collecting. So at one point, I was proudly boasting I'd read every major Marvel comic from 1960 to whatever it was up to that point in time, only to find that if you've seen the BCH Marvel UK continuity, that there's been a lot of edits and changes because certain characters or groups hadn't been introduced in Marvel UK, and to get around that, it was either cut out or redrawn to admit character not in continuity. That aside, I certainly felt that the material was growing up with me, and I think you could probably argue the same with 2000 AD. Much as I love the title, it did seem to get more adult, or than when it started. Obviously, you've got Judge Dredd, who turned up in issue 2. There's more of a Dirty Harry type of thing. There was a rollerball-esque Harlem Heroes strip. You had the Biotronic, was it Biotronic Man? Who was basically the $6 million man. So, and Dan Dare, which was reinvented. So I think that's where it's kept me. And I always felt that I always believed in audience retention. I don't know what's realistic. If you're a kid and you buy a comic when you're 8, should you still be buying it 40 or 50 years later? I don't know. But I always thought audience retention was a good idea, because you would get new generations of readers, and you would be retaining your audience. But I'm not sure that's supported by the sales numbers, and there are various reasons for that. So, should I grow up? Maybe I can argue I'm now in my second childhood. It's perfectly acceptable to read comics. For me, it is a hobby. I've got lots of different hobbies that cover various different things at various different intellectual levels, and comics is part of that. I probably don't read as many comics as I used to. I certainly don't collect as I used to. But digital has been a way rebuying stuff that I originally had, and certainly Comixology at certain points in its life under Amazon did some amazing sales. Whether that was a cynical attempt to get more people onto the platform, I don't know, but I certainly benefited from those sales. As an aside, one of the other things I quite liked about digital is I had digital comics on the PSP. It had I think, a pretty good reader on there, and I have mentioned that one of the things that you don't get on Comixology was the director's commentary. So you could actually read a comic and you would have the author telling you how it was put together as an audio track to it. I just thought that was an amazing idea. I've only seen 2 examples of that, and they're both on the PSP. Obviously, if you know whether there's whether this sneaked onto Comicology, obviously let us know. The downside with the PSP was the fact that there was no reader for the PS Vita, which was the follow-up system. Therefore, all your digital software was stuck on the PSP. Whereas, for example, with games, if you bought a PS1 game on the PSP, it's on your download list for the PS Vita. And I've had a couple free games on the PS4, PS5, because I owned them as a PS1 title on the PSP. So that's nice. There's a legacy there of your software. With digital comics on the PSP, obviously I lost all of that. Okay, technically I still have it, but it's only there provided the PSP is working. I'm not sure you can even download the digital comics now. Obviously, if you do know whether you can still download digital comics from your original logon via say a second-hand PSP, obviously do let me know. But with Comicology, one thing I did find interesting is I've bought titles which are now out of print, but I actually own them. Obviously, you can go into the ins and ends of whether you actually do own your PC software or your video games and all that sort of stuff. For example, I bought some of the early Bongo Simpsons comics on Comicology. You can't buy them now, but they're still on my download list. They're still in my library, and I can download them when I like. The other thing was I was collecting Kingsman, the original release, and I think I bought 4 of the 6 or 5 of the 6, and I left it so long that I didn't buy the last version of it. That version of it is no longer available on Comicology. I do have the issues I bought with the original covers. I don't have the last one. So when I bought that, I ended up buying the digital trade paperback, which included the last story, sort of the last issue. So there are sort of quirks with it. Well, the only other thing I'm going to say is just because it just occurred to me as I was talking that one of the other things I quite liked, which were basically UMD's motion comics. PSP had, my memory's a bit vague on it, I think they had a Silent Hill motion comic, and I think they had a Metal Gear Solid. So you had like the audio and the soundtrack to it, and you had the artwork, which like a basic animation, but the artwork was really good. So they were pretty good, but I only remember seeing 2 of them. I don't think it sort of it took off. I think people were more interested in playing games based on these properties than watching a movie made out of comic artwork. But there you go. So I think that's all I can add to that. I'm going to close now. I want to thank you for, if you stayed this long, thank you very much for sticking with it. I hope to do some more of these going forward. I will be on camera at some point. At the moment, I'm not sure you want to see me on camera this time of night. It's a Monday. But hopefully Bod, James and I can get together to do some more podcasts going forward. I was able to see James. I had invited Bod, but he actually had other arrangements, which was a bit of a shame, as it happened to be the 7th anniversary of BCH2 launching. And it would have been nice to have just got a photo, all 3 of us, all in the same place on the anniversary of BCH, like I say, BCH2 launching. It was a coincidence. I arranged the meetup when I did. I had no idea. Facebook had to prompt me with that particular memory. What's coming forward? Coming up, 14th of December, you've got Hardcore Hair issue 4 coming out. We should hope to go to launch, get some signed copies with that. There's a couple of projects I'm working on which I can't talk about at the moment, but I will be probably talking about that in the new year. I'm not quite sure what the time frame is going to be with it. I'm not going to say anymore. We're still trying to push the YouTube channel. This is going to, probably in the next form, this is going to end up on YouTube, on the British Comic Heroes YouTube channel. I don't think there's anything else. There will be a giveaway. I don't know if I said I was going to do it in this video. Probably not. I'd need to think about asking the right question. But the Caulkhead Comics that you've seen at the beginning of the video, I'll be giving those away. So the variant covers, and it's the 4 titles, but the variant covers. And there was a 5th title, which was released early. I think that's either August or September. I'm a bit vague on the dates at the moment, but that will be included. I do have the issues. I just can't put my hand on them at the moment. As soon as I reunite the missing issue with the rest, I will be offering it on BCH Facebook page. If you've never entered one of our giveaways before, do give it a go. The odds of you actually winning, given the number of people entering the competition, your odds are really, really good. And for those that have entered it before and won, thank you so much for being part of it, and hope you've enjoyed the freebies that we've sent. On that note, I'm going to have to call it quits. Thank you so much for supporting British Comic Heroes. Look forward to your support in the remainder of 2024 and into 2025, and we hope to have some interesting news for you very soon. Take care, have a lovely evening, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.